All who had seen this seed were fated to die, yet I had swallowed it directly, nurturing it within me for 18 years. Unexpectedly, it darted forth with such astonishing speed that Fang Chen barely had time to react. He swiftly withdrew his hand, only to feel a searing heat in his palm. Looking down, he saw 5 faint white marks scratched across the back of his hand. "Your claws are quite sharp, and your speed is incredibly fast," Fang Chen remarked. Had it not been for his exceptional movement technique and his mastery of the copper skin, iron bones realm, that previous claw strike would surely have exposed bone. The small spirit beast also seemed surprised, it even raised its right paw in a puzzled manner. It seemed to be wondering if its claws hadn't been sharpened enough, or if they had lost their edge. "Little creature, you've met your match." Fang Chen narrowed his eyes and immediately engaged his movement technique. The small spirit beast was also startled by Fang Chen's movement technique. Its boasted agility proved utterly ineffective before Fang Chen. Even its sharp claws failed to inflict damage. In merely 7 or 8 exchanges, Fang Chen seized it by the neck and pinned it against the wall. "Most people would truly be no match for you," Fang Chen sighed softly. "Without a cultivation at the 7th or 8th layer of foundation establishment, one would likely suffer greatly against this little creature. Capturing it would be even more challenging." The defiant little spirit beast flailed its legs, attempting to fiercely scratch Fang Chen with its claws. However, its 4 short legs were simply too diminutive to reach. "Now, stay put quietly." Fang Chen tore several vines from the stone wall, bound the creature tightly into a bundle, and tossed it into a corner. He then happily proceeded to harvest the honey. Sensing Fang Chen's scent, the wolf-headed bees, in an unspoken understanding, did not attack him, allowing him to collect the honey. Above on the cliff, 2 disciples had waited for a long time, and seeing no pull on the rope, they grew concerned. Could he have fallen to his death down there, without even a chance to taste anything? Just then, the rope gave a sudden jolt. The 2 immediately ran over and pulled with all their might. Before long, they had pulled Fang Chen back up. Seeing him completely unharmed, both were utterly astonished. "The wolf-headed bees didn't sting you?" Immediately afterwards, the 2 were surprised to discover that Fang Chen was also carrying a large honeycomb in his arms. The honey inside weighed a full 4 pounds. "How did you manage to collect so much? The wolf-head bees didn't attack you?" The wolf-head bees treat their honey as a precious treasure. They would fight to the death over even a small quantity, let alone such an abundance. "Junior brother, you are truly incredible." Without a moment's hesitation, Fang Chen sliced a pound for each of them, instructing, "Take these, they can be submitted the day after tomorrow." The 2 responded with a hint of embarrassment. How could we possibly accept such a generous offer? Fang Chen stated, "We are all fellow disciples, there is no cause for embarrassment." A considerable quantity remained below, which he simply could not transport alone. With expressions of profound gratitude, the 2 accepted the offering. One of them then lowered his voice, offering a subtle suggestion, "Junior brother, a word of advice, you only need to submit 1 pound of honey. The surplus can be sold at the night market, where it fetches a significant price, and we shall maintain your discretion." Having delivered their message, the 2 cryptically carried the portly disciple away. Fang Chen responded with a knowing, gentle smile. Once they had departed, he procured a basket and discreetly descended once more. Shortly thereafter, he returned to his cave abode, laden with a substantial 10 pounds of honey and the diminutive spirit beast. With this accomplishment, the assignment appeared to be unequivocally secured, leaving even the senior brother without grounds for criticism. Fang Chen placed the honey aside and then turned his attention to the small spirit beast. Even though it was bound tightly, resembling a small bundle of flesh, it continued to snarl ferociously. "Still exhibiting such ferocity, I shall confine you for several days before further consideration." He retrieved a chicken cage and deposited the small spirit beast within. Unbeknownst to him, beyond the confines of Qingyun City, several graceful figures stood prominently atop an immense, phoenix-like flying creature. At the forefront was a woman in her 40s, whose complexion, however, was so meticulously maintained that she appeared to be merely 30 years of age. "Are you absolutely certain that my spirit pet has indeed escaped into Qingyun City?" The woman leading them was none other than Gong Caiyi, the esteemed Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect, one of the renowned 9 great sects. This particular beast tide was, in fact, provoked by the myriad beasts' quest for it, thus, its retrieval is paramount. A beautiful female disciple then rose and stated, "Indeed, this disciple personally observed it slipping into Qingyun City." Gong Caiyi nodded slowly in acknowledgement. Very well then. I shall utilize the pretext of observing the Qingyun sect's new disciples' ancestral veneration ceremony to prolong my stay within the Qingyun sect. You are to discreetly conduct a search. It must be located. 2 days subsequent, as the resonant chimes of the bells echoed, the disciples of Sect Master Peak began to converge upon the Grand Hall. Today was the day they were to hand in their tasks. In the past, no one paid much attention, as it had become routine. But today was different. The senior disciple had declared that if Fang Chen failed, he would be made to clean the latrines. Everyone eagerly awaited Fang Chen's arrival. Hearing the bell, Fang Chen also prepared to leave. Lu Qingxian, however, furtively knocked on his door, calling, "Fang Chen, open up quickly." Fang Chen, puzzled, opened the door for her. Before he could even ask, Lu Qingxian pulled him into the room, scrutinized him from head to toe, and only exhaled in relief upon finding him unharmed. "You were smart not to seek trouble," she said. She carefully took out a jade box and slipped it into Fang Chen's arms, saying, "Take this." Fang Chen's gaze fixed on it, and he exclaimed in surprise, "Wolf's head honey? Senior sister, where did you get this?" Lu Qingxian leaned against the door, giving Fang Chen a dismissive glance. "It fell from the sky," she retorted. At this moment, Fang Chen recalled his 2 senior brothers mentioning that this item was very precious and could fetch a high price at the night market, thus realizing how Lu Qingxian had acquired it. "Then why are you giving it to me?" Fang Chen asked, bewildered. He already had more than 10 caddies in his basket. Lu Qingxian looked at him with a strange expression, as if questioning his intelligence. "Nonsense. It's obviously for you to hand in your task, not for you to eat, is it?" "For me to hand in?" Fang Chen suddenly felt the honey in his hands grow heavy. Besides Lu Rushui and Chen Xiling, Lu Qingxian was the third woman who had shown concern for him. "Thank you, senior sister," Fang Chen said gratefully. Although he did not need it, he felt that this single caddy of honey was more precious than the 10 caddies in his basket. Lu Qingxian shrugged indifferently. "There's nothing for it, you were just unlucky. You had barely accepted the honey-gathering task when an anomaly occurred in the beehive. Even Fatty Chen, the most experienced honey-gatherer, was stung and remains unconscious to this day. I was actually worried you'd foolishly go down there stubbornly. Seeing you're fine, I feel relieved." Fang Chen was torn between laughter and tears. Not only had he gone down, but he had also brought back a considerable amount of honey. "All right, hurry and hand in your task before the Great Hall. This is your first completed assignment, and my father will also be there to observe. Later, you'll take this honey and thoroughly prove him wrong for underestimating you." With a delicate huff, she quietly slipped away. Fang Chen couldn't help but mutter speechlessly, "I don't even have any issues with your father, yet you do?" After a moment's thought, he left the honey Lu Qingxian had given him at home, to be carefully preserved. Carrying a wicker basket on his back, he arrived before the main hall. Tao Xingjun, having collected 3 spirit ginseng plants, was far from the target of 10, earning him a failing grade. Senior brother Wang Qingjian was inspecting the disciples' tasks one by one. Discovering that Tao Xingjun had not completed his task, he comfortingly patted his shoulder, saying, "It's your first time here, and you're unfamiliar with the growth of spirit ginseng. It's completely normal not to complete the task. I won't punish you this time, just work hard next time." Fang Chen arrived just in time. He placed the basket before him. Many disciples immediately perked up. The main event was about to begin. Wasn't his task to collect honey? Why is he carrying a basket? Could it be that he went to dig for herbs? If that were the case, the senior brother would have an excuse. Seeing that it was Fang Chen, Wang Chengjian's expression tightened, reverting to sternness. He said, "Fang Chen, you remember what your task is, don't you? To collect 1 caddy of wolf head honey." Fang Chen stated calmly, "I don't need senior brother to remind me." Even after 3 days, he remained so defiant. Wang Chengjian's eyes narrowed slightly as he said, "Very well. If your memory is so good, then you shouldn't have forgotten my reminder that if you fail to complete your task, all the latrines on Sovereign Peak will be yours to clean." Fang Chen frowned slightly. He could not pretend not to have seen his attitude towards Tao Xingjun just now. Junior brother Tao also didn't complete his task, did he? Why is senior brother so understanding and generous towards him, yet I am to be punished?
Is this considered favoritism?
The many disciples exchanged glances.
Wherever there are people, human dynamics and social customs exist. Tao Xingjun came from a wealthy family and had privately given the senior brother many benefits.
Naturally, he favored the latter.
Such incidents were not uncommon.
However, everyone, deterred by the senior brother's authority, dared not speak out. Unexpectedly, Fang Chen, this troublesome individual, questioned him publicly.
Wang Chengjian's expression darkened. He cast a glance at the main hall behind him out of the corner of his eye.
Under normal circumstances, he could have simply ignored it. However, this time, Lu Wenchen was personally overseeing the situation.
Wang Chengjian, with a stern expression, stated,
"Junior brother Tao is accustomed to a life of ease, so I merely offered him a little consideration."
"Since you are so petty, then so be it, as you wish."
"Junior brother Tao, it's not that your senior brother doesn't care for you, but Fang Chen cannot tolerate you, so you might as well prepare to clean the latrines."
Upon hearing this, Tao Zhengjuan's nostrils flared with anger. He glared fiercely at Fang Chen. Fang Chen turned back coldly and asked, "What, do you have an objection?" Tao Zhengjun then recalled Fang Chen's thunderous methods and involuntarily shivered. He hastily replied, "No objection, no objection."
That encounter had left an indelible impression on him.
Wang Qingjian's eyes revealed disdain. What a complete waste!
He had originally intended to stir up conflict between Tao Xingjun and Fang Chen, but little did he know that Tao Xingjun had already been completely subdued. In the great hall, Lu Qingxian smiled playfully, saying,
"Father, Fang Chen has completely intimidated your beloved disciple to the point where he dares not even voice his anger." Lu Wenxin's jaw muscles twitched slightly. What in the world?
Tao Xingjun is a rare genius, cultivating both dharma and physical arts, so how could he be bullied to this extent by Fang Chen, a man without a spiritual root?
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I heard there was an anomaly in the beehive this time. Even Chen Dongxing, a skilled honey collector, failed and was stung quite badly.
Fang Chen is completely unharmed, not at all like someone who has been to the beehive. He had better not be unable to produce any honey later. Lu Wenxin cast a meaningful glance at Lu Qingxian. The latter's heart skipped a beat. A sense of unease settled upon her. Could it be that her father knew about her secretly buying honey?
But he has been in secluded cultivation these past 2 days and hasn't gone down the mountain.
Wang Chengjian, however, cast a glance at the basket.
With a hint of amusement, he stated, "Before the inspection, I must remind you of one thing: this type of task strictly forbids any form of deception, especially purchasing mission items from other sources. If exposed, the consequences are far more severe than merely failing." Within the grand hall, Lu Qingxian was instantly seized by panic.
Wang Chengjian had intentionally raised this specific point.
He undoubtedly possessed certain information.
She couldn't help but harbor a quiet apprehension. Lu Wenmin cast her a knowing, half-smiling glance, saying, "What's the matter, are you panicking?" Lu Qingxian's expression became uneasy as she stammered, Who's panicking? Fang Chen is exceptionally skilled, isn't it perfectly normal for him to have collected the honey himself?" Lu Wenmin took a deliberate, significant sip of his tea.
He continued, "A disciple has reported to me that, at the night market yesterday, an individual suspected to be from our sect's main peak privately acquired a caddy of honey."
Could it be that this individual was, in fact, you? At this revelation, Lu Qingxian's heart gave a sudden lurch.
She realized with certainty that her father had very likely become aware of her actions. Lu Wenmin did not elaborate further, stating plainly, "Let Fang Chen voluntarily admit to mission failure.
Consider it my way of allowing him to save some face. You may go." Lu Qingxian bit her crimson lips slightly, then reluctantly exited.
Should the deception be exposed, Fang Chen would be apprehended by the Hall of Rewards and Punishments, then publicly subjected to 100 lashes in the square, serving as a deterrent.
He would suffer complete disgrace before the entire sect.
In comparison, sweeping the latrines seemed the more favorable option. Even though it too was a source of shame.
However, the disgrace would be confined solely to this peak. Lu Qingxian, laden with apology, approached Fang Chen.
Lowering her voice, she urged, "Fang Chen, please admit defeat."
Fang Chen blinked his eyes. "Everything is perfectly fine, why should I concede defeat?" He shook his head.
He continued, "Senior sister, my task has not yet been inspected. Why, then, should I admit failure?"
Lu Qingxian couldn't help but feel a flush creep across her face.
He whispered, "My father knows everything, there's no need to pretend anymore."
Fang Chen found this a bit strange. What did he do that Lu Wenchen found out about?
At this moment, Wang Qingjian also spoke in a teasing tone, "Fang Chen, senior brother is giving you a chance, do not lead yourself astray. If you truly resort to deception, you will be dragged to the square in disgrace. This would also tarnish the reputation of our Sect Master peak. It would be better to honestly sweep the latrines."
Perplexed, Fang Chen glanced oddly at him and Lu Qingxian. He said, "I don't understand what you're talking about."
"You should finish checking my task first before saying anything else." Lu Qingxian was anxious for him. She had clearly stated that there was no need to pretend anymore.
Yet Fang Chen still hadn't understood. How could he be so foolish? Wang Chengjian narrowed his eyes.
He scoffed, "You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Since I tried to save your face, yet you insist on stubbornly holding out. Then, senior brother, I shall fulfill your wish." He swiftly uncovered the cloth on top of the basket. Beneath it, only dry grass was visible.
On top of the dry grass lay a piece of honey with fresh honeycomb. Lu Qingxian didn't dare to look at all.
She sighed repeatedly in resignation, "It's over, completely over." She felt a profound sense of powerlessness. She had hoped Fang Chen could demonstrate his abilities before her father during his first task,
to make him stop underestimating Fang Chen.
Things did not go as planned. Not only did he fail to show his skills, but he also lost significant face.
Wang Chengjian also looked at the honey.
In his heart, he felt immense disdain.
What a stubborn fellow, refusing to give up until he hits a wall.
This very piece of honey was sold by him. Thus, as soon as Lu Qingxian spoke yesterday, he recognized her by her voice.
He immediately guessed Lu Qingxian's purpose in buying it.
At this moment, seeing the honey he had sold appear among Fang Chen's quest items,
he couldn't help but find it amusing.
However, after a quick glance, his brow furrowed.
"How is it different from the piece I sold?"
The shape was slightly different, but after a moment's thought, he guessed the reason. He chuckled, "You're not that foolish, after all.
You knew to trim its shape to prevent it from being recognized at a glance.
However, you've been too clever for your own good. This honey you bought has special fluorescent powder on it, which becomes visible in the shade."
Fang Chen finally understood what he was saying.
It turned out that the honey Lu Qingxian had given him was known to them, and they mistakenly believed Fang Chen's honey was from Lu Qingxian.
"You're overthinking it," Fang Chen said, speechless.
"This is what I gathered myself, and under the basket, before he could finish."
Wang Chengjian laughed, "Still so stubborn even at death's door? Very well, I'll expose you completely. Bring me an umbrella." A disciple immediately handed over a thick, large oil paper umbrella.
As it opened, a wide shadow enveloped the honey.
"All fellow disciples, you can witness together whether this honey has fluorescence on it.
If it does, then Fang Chen bought it from the night market to use as a quest item. If this is indeed the case, I, your elder brother, will uphold righteousness and personally escort him to the Hall of Rewards and Punishments, showing absolutely no leniency."
The numerous disciples exchanged glances. Do we even need to look?
With their senior brother speaking so confidently, he must be absolutely sure, otherwise, he would be humiliating himself. Constrained by his words, everyone reluctantly looked over.
Lu Qingxian was secretly furious.
It turned out she had been tricked by Wang Chengjian. Now there was no way to deny it, Fang Chen was just waiting to be sent to the Hall of Rewards and Punishments.
Wang Chengjian, meanwhile, watched Fang Chen's expression, anticipating the moment his true colors would be revealed, wondering what kind of face he would make.
However, he suddenly noticed everyone's gazes slowly changing, from reluctant to astonished and doubtful.
Wang Chengjian instinctively looked at the honey under the shadow.
It showed no trace of the supposed fluorescence, not even a speck.
How can this be? Unconvinced, Wang Chengjian flipped it over, but the result remained the same. Everyone looked bewildered. Where is the promised fluorescence?
Lu Qingxian was also stunned for a moment, then excitedly declared, "Who said Fang Chen bought it?"
Without evidence, you cannot slander someone. This was clearly gathered by Fang Chen himself, wasn't it, Wang Qingjian? She was secretly pleased.
Although she didn't know what had happened, Fang Chen seemed to have been blessed by the heavens and narrowly escaped disaster.
Wang Qingjian was utterly unwilling to accept this. He had clearly sprinkled fluorescent powder, how could it all be gone? Could it be that Fang Chen had noticed and promptly cleared it away?
The thought that this piece of honeycomb had been trimmed further solidified his conviction. With a somber expression, he huffed, "Consider yourself lucky."
Fang Chen, 1 caddy of honey collected, task completed, rating, pass. In the Great Hall, Lu Wenchen snorted, finding Fang Chen even more disagreeable.
Such minor cleverness, all wasted on crooked paths, he will struggle to achieve anything great in the future.
Lu Qingxian, on the other hand, was secretly delighted. Although passing in such a less than honorable way, at least she wouldn't have to face the humiliation of cleaning latrines. Just then, Fang Chen interjected, "Why are you rushing? Didn't I just say there's more below?" He had painstakingly carried 10 caddies of honey up, would he only receive a pass rating?
Lu Qingxian was stunned, and Wang Qingjian was also startled.
Even Lu Wenchen rose in astonishment, approaching Fang Chen.
He swept aside the dry grass and indeed found another layer beneath, also containing 1 caddy of honey.
He exclaimed in surprise, "Fang Chen, wasn't your honey given to you by Lu Qingxian?"
According to Wang Qingjian's report, he had only sold 1 piece to Lu Qingxian, so how did Fang Chen produce 2? Lu Qingxian also showed surprise, asking, "Junior brother Fang, where did you get your honey?" Fang Chen replied helplessly, "Senior sister, the piece of honey you gave me, I left it at home." "I appreciate your kind intentions, senior sister, but I have already completed the task." Everyone was astonished, no wonder no fluorescence was detected on this one. It turns out Fang Chen brought the task item he collected himself.
They had all misunderstood Fang Chen.
Lu Qingxian let out a long breath of relief, then immediately felt proud of Fang Chen. She shot a glance at Lu Wenchen and said, "Junior brother Fang, you don't know how much some people underestimate you." Lu Wenchen cleared his throat and patted Fang Chen's shoulder, "You completed the task admirably. Others didn't dare to descend, yet you harvested 2 caddies without a scratch. Giving you an excellent rating would not be an exaggeration. As a reward for an excellent rating, you won't need to accept any tasks for the next month." Fang Chen felt relieved. That's wonderful. He wouldn't have to see Wang Qingjian's face anymore. However, Wang Qingjian objected, saying, "Master, ratings should be determined by task completion, not arbitrarily assigned. 2 caddies can only be considered a pass. There was indeed some truth to this. Regardless of whether the task had suddenly become more difficult, the previously established rules could not be arbitrarily changed. Lu Wenchen pondered for a moment and found it difficult to argue. He said, "Very well, let's proceed according to the standard." Fang Chen furrowed his brows, "I still have more honey below." "What? There's more?" The crowd could barely believe it. To gather 2 or 3 caddies in such a perilous situation was already a remarkable feat, but there was more? How could this be? Wang Qingjian found it incredible. The task of collecting honey was extremely difficult. Even if he went down himself, he might not be able to gather 2 caddies. However, when a layer of grass was peeled back, indeed, another caddy was found. Peeling back another layer revealed yet another caddy. As everyone watched in stunned silence, layer after layer was lifted, and each layer yielded more. Finally, a full 10 caddies of honey were produced. Fang Chen explained, "There was too much honey, and pressing it together could easily damage it, so I put some dry grass between each layer to prevent spoilage." Lu Wenchen was so astonished he didn't know what to say. This amount was almost equivalent to half a year's collection by other disciples. Lu Qingxian's eyes lit up with delight. She said, "Father, I told you junior brother Fang was highly capable, didn't I?" This left Lu Wenchen speechless. Fang Chen had indeed completed the task beautifully, far surpassing even the senior disciples. He cleared his throat and said, "Fang Chen's performance this time truly exceeded my expectations. A rating of excellent is warranted, wouldn't you agree?" Hearing this, Wang Qingjian nodded blankly to himself, no problem. With 10 caddies of honey right before his eyes, how could he possibly object? The disciples sighed with emotion. Who would have thought that the senior brother, intending to cause trouble for a newcomer, would instead receive a harsh lesson from them? It was truly outrageous.
Lu Wenchen looked at the 10 caddies of honey and couldn't help but smile. He said, "All right, everyone, you may disperse." This was excellent stuff, especially since the female elders enjoyed preparing it into spiritual tea or beauty-enhancing ointments.
The usual collections were never enough for them, but 10 caddies would suffice for his half-year's worth of rewards.
"Have you forgotten what you promised?" Lu Qingxian scoffed.
"You said that if he ranked in the top 3, he would get half of the honey."
"Half? Wouldn't that be a full 5 caddies? That's far too much."
The disciples present were so surprised their eyes nearly popped out.
"Good heavens!
1 caddy of this honey is worth 200 crystal stones, so 5 caddies would be worth 1,000 crystal stones, wouldn't it?" Wang Qingjian was even more envious. He might not be able to earn 1,000 crystal stones in a whole year of hard work. Fang Chen had only been here for 3 days, yet he had received such a generous reward. Lu Wenchen was extremely reluctant, but he couldn't back out of a promise he had made publicly due to his earlier loose tongue, so he could only reluctantly award Fang Chen 5 caddies.
Fang Chen was not stingy either, directly giving 2 caddies to Lu Qingxian as a token of gratitude for her previous assistance. "Why give it to me?" Lu Qingxian waved her hand. "You should take it and sell it to Medicine Peak.
They have a very special medicinal formula that can be used to create highly effective beauty-enhancing cream from it." Fang Chen recalled carefully. It seemed that a similar medicinal formula had been mentioned in the Immortal Medical Tome.
"Sell it to Medicine Peak? It would be better to prepare it myself."
"Very well, once I've prepared it, I'll send a portion to Senior Sister." No woman would refuse beauty, not even those in their early 20s, whose skin is already at its most vibrant.
Lu Qingxian gave a wry smile and said, "Forget it. Medicine Peak guards this kind of ointment very closely.
Even their own female disciples don't have enough to use. As the Sect Master's daughter, they only sell me 1 bottle a month, which is nowhere near enough."
"Really?" Fang Chen smiled. "Senior Sister, just wait and see." He carried 5 caddies of honey home.
Adding the 2 caddies brought up during his first trip down and the 1 caddy gifted by Lu Qingxian, he now had a total of 8 caddies of honey, enough to prepare at least a large barrel of beauty cream. He immediately set to work. As lunchtime approached, he looked at the beauty cream in the pot, a trace of joy appearing on his face. He wondered how this beauty cream compared to Medicine Peak's in terms of effectiveness, and decided to find someone to test it. After finishing 5 bowls of rice in the dining hall, Fang Chen took several tubes of beauty cream, left the sect, and arrived at Qingyun City. For a beauty cream with unknown effects, it would be best to find cultivators in the city to try it. If the effect was good, there would be no issue. But if problems arose and someone's skin was damaged, the female disciples of his sect would surely go to the Sect Master's peak to complain, which would be extremely embarrassing. He squatted by the main thoroughfare of the city, holding a small sign, and called out with some discomfort. Whether it was the word "free" that was effective, or the renowned name of the Qingyun sect, after only a couple of calls, many passing women stopped to observe. Among them was a woman dressed in colorful clothes, possessing an exceptional demeanor.
"Master, isn't this boy a charlatan? How could a disciple of the Qingyun sect be selling beauty cream here? Moreover, isn't beauty cream a specialty of Medicine Peak?"
Medicine Peak is entirely comprised of female disciples, and he, a man, doesn't look like a Medicine Peak disciple at all. They were none other than the group from the Spirit Beast Sect. Gong Caiyi, the Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect, gazed at the jade bottle in Fang Chen's hand, a hint of surprise in her eyes.
However, the ointment in his hand does not appear to be ordinary.
It seems to have been concocted using many precious ingredients and special methods.
Coincidentally, she had been searching for a small spirit beast for several days and hadn't had much time to care for her skin.
She gracefully sat down in front of Fang Chen, wishing to try it.
Fang Chen looked up, and couldn't help but be astonished.
Although she appeared to be in her 30s, her features were exquisite, like a jade carving. In her youth, she must have been a peerless beauty. Furthermore, her unique temperament, attire, and speech were all extraordinary. She was clearly not an ordinary woman.
But what did that matter? They would not interact again anyway, and if her skin was damaged, she wouldn't be able to find him. "Very well, let's try applying it to my hand."
Gong Caiyi extended her fair hand with a slight smile. Despite being well maintained, time had been relentless, leaving its marks on her skin, especially at the web of her thumb and forefinger, where wrinkles were clearly visible.
No amount of makeup could conceal them.
Fang Chen opened the medicine bottle, used a slender jade chopstick to scoop out a dollop, and following the methods described in the immortal medical tome, he rhythmically and gently massaged it back and forth, allowing the medicinal properties to evenly permeate every inch of her skin.
Gong Caiyi's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. This technique does not seem to belong to an amateur. Please wait on the side and observe the skin. Next. Half an hour later, all the ointments were used up. Changes occurred in the areas where the women who tried it had applied the ointment. It really works. The spots on my hand have actually faded. Oh my goodness. My freckles are gone. Is that true?
Gong Caiyi also pleasantly discovered that the wrinkles on the web of her hand had miraculously faded significantly.
The contrast was even more striking when comparing both hands. She couldn't help but exclaim softly, "How miraculous! It's much more effective than the elixirs from Medicine Peak. Just strolling around, I've truly stumbled upon something extraordinary. Young master, I want to buy 10 bottles. Fang Chen, confirming that their results were excellent, finally felt completely at ease.
From now on, he could confidently sell it to the female disciples of Qingyun sect.
As for outsiders, there wasn't even enough for his own people, so how could he sell it to outsiders? Not for sale. Farewell. Fang Chen discarded the small sign and turned to leave.
Gong Caiyi's beautiful female disciple frowned slightly and said, "We are not short on spirit stones, just name your price." It had been a long time since she had seen her master so pleasantly surprised by a beauty product.
Fang Chen replied without looking back, "I've already said it." The female disciple couldn't help but say angrily, "Then what's the meaning of letting people try it for free, only to refuse to sell it afterward?"
Gong Caiyi raised a hand to stop her from speaking further, then smiled gently, "Young master, I am Gong Caiyi from the Spirit Beast Sect. Would you be willing to part with a few bottles?"
Gong Caiyi? Who's that? Fang Chen glanced at her and repeated the same words, "Not for sale."
With that, he quickened his pace and swiftly departed. Gong Caiyi's expression stiffened slightly, while her beautiful female disciple stamped her foot in anger, exclaiming, "This is outrageous. He wouldn't even show respect to my master. I'll go and drag him back." Gong Caiyi rubbed her forehead.
"Do you think I haven't lost enough face?" She truly hadn't expected that after revealing her name, this young cultivator would still show no respect. Is the Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect really so lacking in prestige?
Staring at Fang Chen's retreating back, she couldn't help but mutter softly, "You brat, don't let me find out your origins." Women are all vengeful, regardless of their status. A delighted Fang Chen returned to the Sect Master's peak, only to find the disciples busily cleaning. Even the eldest miss, Lu Qingxian, had been roped in to help with the chores.
"Senior sister, what is happening?"
Upon seeing him, Lu Qingxian immediately pouted, indignantly tossing the broom to him and asking, "Where have you been enjoying yourself?" "The Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect has arrived and will soon meet with my father on the Sect Master's peak. I'm so exhausted from cleaning that my back is breaking, yet you're off having fun all over the world."
"Who's been having fun?" Fang Chen discreetly produced a bottle of ointment and handed it to Lu Qingxian, saying, "This is for you." "What is it?" Lu Qingxian opened it and sniffed, a fragrant aroma wafting towards her. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "The beauty cream from Medicine Peak? The scent isn't quite right."
She tried taking a small amount and rubbed it on her hand, her skin visibly became more radiant. She immediately exclaimed, "The effect is much better than Medicine Peak's."
"Junior brother, where did you get this?" Fang Chen made a shushing gesture, saying, "Do you want everyone in the world to know?" Only then did Lu Qingxian lean closer, happily asking, "Where did you buy it? Tell me quickly." Fang Chen replied mysteriously, "I mixed it myself, it's an ancestral formula."
"From now on, I'll take care of all your beauty cream, senior sister." Lu Qingxian looked incredulous that the effect was even better than Medicine Peak's, but upon hearing that Fang Chen would provide her beauty cream from now on, she immediately cast her doubts aside. "Who cares," she thought, "as long as I have enough. My affection for you wasn't wasted, junior brother.
Quick, sit down, don't tire yourself out.
I'll sweep the floor myself."
Fang Chen touched his nose.
The beauty cream's effect not only enhanced beauty but could also make women gentler.
"Fang Chen, everyone else is busy, why are you slacking off here? Wang Chengjian was supervising the busy disciples. Seeing Fang Chen and Lu Qingxian in close proximity from a distance, he felt uneasy. He walked over and reprimanded them. "Don't you know the Spirit Beast Sect Master is arriving soon?" Lu Qingxian frowned and said, "Who says junior brother Fang is slacking off?" He had a sudden inspiration and took out the beauty cream in his hand. "He's preparing a welcome gift for the Spirit Beast Sect Master." Wang Chengjian glanced at the utterly ordinary jade bottle and the sticky ointment inside. With a stern face, he said, "Fang Chen, who do you take the Spirit Beast Sect Master to be?" "He is one of the 9 great Sect Masters, a figure of prominent and esteemed status, and everything he uses is a rare treasure of heaven and earth." "Are you not afraid of making us a laughingstock and inviting ridicule from Reincarnation Peak by offering such a crude ointment as a welcome gift from the Sect Master's Peak?" Fang Chen was somewhat speechless. Of all the excuses Lu Qingxian could have made, why bring up beauty cream? What kind of person was the Spirit Beast Sect Master? How could his own unimpressive trinket serve as a welcome gift?
Lu Qingxian retorted stubbornly, "The ointment Fang Chen made is very effective, perhaps the Spirit Beast Sect Master will actually like it." The more she favored Fang Chen, the more uncomfortable Wang Chengjian felt. Just as he was about to scold Fang Chen further, a sudden idea struck him, and his anger turned to a smile. He took the bottle of beauty cream, saying, "Oh, really? Since junior brother Fang has such good intentions, then let this be presented as a welcome gift to the Spirit Beast Sect Master later. I, your senior brother, will hold on to it for you first." He then tucked it into his robes. He then turned and went to supervise elsewhere. "Since it is called a welcome gift, then as you wish, let it be presented to the Spirit Beast Sect Master. Giving such a piece of trash as a welcome gift, it would be strange if it didn't offend her. By then, Master would surely be furious and demand an explanation, and Fang Chen would not escape unharmed." Lu Qingxian also realized she had caused trouble. "Fang Chen, what should be done? If this truly serves as a welcome gift, the Spirit Beast Sect Master will certainly not be happy, will she?" Lu Qingxian said with an apologetic expression. Fang Chen rubbed his brow. "What if she actually likes it?" Lu Qingxian gave a wry smile. "You do not understand the Spirit Beast Sect Master. She is a renowned beauty who defies age, and she is extremely particular about natural treasures for maintaining youth. While your item's effects may be good, she might not deem it worthy of her attention." Fang Chen sighed, expressing his helplessness. "I also said, what if?" He himself did not believe in such a possibility. A flock of avian creatures, resembling phoenixes, flew in from a distance. Lu Wenchen emerged from the Grand Hall, his spirits slightly stirred, and announced, "Prepare for the welcome, the Spirit Beast Sect Master has arrived. The Spirit Beast Sect is a steadfast ally of my Azure Cloud Sect, none of you shall show the slightest neglect. Should she be disturbed, I, your master, will mete out severe punishment." The assembly responded with solemn affirmation. Lu Qingxian had a premonition of trouble, and suddenly nudged Fang Chen's arm, transmitting a message, "Perhaps you should go hide?" As things stood, this was the only recourse. However, he could not hide too far. Should Lu Wenchen summon him, he would still need to appear. Glancing left and right, he quietly slipped to the corner of the Grand Hall, secretly listening to the commotion there. Gong Caiyi, leading 2 disciples, slowly descended. Her colorful robes billowed, her figure was graceful, and her beauty was elegant and dignified. Her demeanor was refined yet not without majesty, inspiring an awe that was no less profound than that evoked by the young female disciples present. "Sect Master Gong, it has been a long time. What brings you to my Azure Cloud Sect?" Lu Wenchen stepped forward to greet her, asking with a smile. In his mind, he pondered Gong Caiyi's true intentions. "Driven by a desire for activity after prolonged tranquility, I wish to travel. Passing through the territory of the Azure Cloud Sect, I thought I would come and visit." Gong Caiyi offered a slight smile. She made no mention whatsoever of searching for the small spirit beast. Lu Wenchen, however, did not believe that Gong Caiyi would come here without a reason. Yet, he did not inquire further, stating, "Please, let us sit within the hall." At this moment, Wang Qingjian stepped forward. He said, "Sect Master Gong, please pause. Some of my junior disciples and siblings are very welcoming of your arrival and have prepared some small gifts to greet you. We humbly ask that you accept them." Gong Caiyi was quite pleased by this, which indicated her genuine popularity among the disciples of Sovereign Peak. "Really? Let me see."
Gong Caiyi's lips curled into a smile.
Wang Qingjian placed all the gifts on the tray, including Fang Chen's, which he positioned in the most conspicuous spot.
Gong Caiyi looked up, and a succession of exquisite small gifts, though not of immense value, brought her great joy.
However, when her gaze fell upon a crudely made jade bottle, the smile on her face froze. She couldn't help but wonder if she had misread the situation. Turning to look at the beautiful female disciple beside her, she saw the disciple was also staring blankly at the jade bottle.
Isn't this the beauty cream that young man on the roadside in Qingyun City refused to sell them?
The very item she had been unable to purchase had astonishingly appeared before her as a welcome gift. She instinctively picked up the jade bottle, secretly pleased, and inquired, "Who sent this?" Lu Qingxian, who had been constantly observing her, felt her heart sink. Truly, her worst fears had come to pass. Compared to the other gifts, the jade bottle appeared rather crude. Coupled with Wang Qingjian's deliberate placement of it in a prominent position, it was immediately noticed.
Lu Qingxian's mind was in turmoil.
Lu Wenqin was also drawn to the jade bottle Gong Caiyi had picked up, and his eyelids twitched violently.
This looked like something discarded. How could it be included among the welcome gifts? Wasn't this deliberately humiliating Gong Caiyi?
"Whose is this?" he demanded angrily. Wang Qingjian smiled. Everything was proceeding as he had anticipated, even better than expected. This time, Fang Chen would face more than just a minor reprimand. He cupped his hands and said, "Master, Sect Leader Gong, this is a welcome gift presented by our junior fellow disciple Fang Chen from the Sect Master's peak."
Fang Chen? Lu Wenqin's eyebrows immediately shot up.
His sharp gaze swept over the disciples, finding no trace of Fang Chen, and he roared, "Fang Chen, come here.
Truly, you are more prone to failure than success. If you must send a gift, at least send something presentable. Is bringing a broken bottle a deliberate insult?" Fang Chen, who was hiding in the corner, ultimately could not escape.
He emerged from the corner and scanned the crowd, his gaze immediately drawn to a woman in flowing, colorful robes.
He was instantly taken aback. Isn't that the woman who tried his beauty cream for free on the roadside?
The one who called herself Gong something Yi. He had even refused to sell her his beauty cream, and she turned out to be the sect leader of the Spirit Beast Sect.
Fang Chen's mouth felt bitter. Had he recently offended the god of misfortune? Why was he so unlucky?
First, he offended an important figure, and now that person had come directly to his home. I must not let her recognize my appearance. Fang Chen covered his face with his sleeve and cautiously stepped forward, speaking in a strained voice, "Master, Sect Leader Gong."
Lu Wenqin frowned. "Why are you covering your face with your sleeve?"
Fang Chen replied, "Disciple fell earlier and has an injury on his face, which might startle Sect Leader Gong. Please forgive me, Master and Sect Leader Gong."
"And what's wrong with your voice?" Lu Wenqin inquired again. Fang Chen stated, "I've caught a slight cold." In the distance, Lu Qingxian didn't know whether to cry or to laugh. Fang Chen was truly in a difficult situation.
Lu Wenqin felt that Fang Chen had brought too much shame upon the sovereign peak today, and furiously questioned, "Do you know what foolish thing you've done?"
Fang Chen gave a wry smile. "Can you blame me for this?"
"If you must blame someone, blame your good daughter and your senior disciple."
"I am truly wronged."
Wang Qingjian sneered, quietly waiting for the show to begin.
Surely, the exciting moment was about to unfold? Unexpectedly, what made his expression stiffen was Gong Caiyi's statement, "Sect Master Lu, you've misunderstood. I really like this bottle of beauty cream. This seemingly cheap item, could the esteemed Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect genuinely like it?"
Lu Wenqin was stunned for a moment, then said, "Sect Master Gong, I know you are protecting this boy. Please don't interfere. A disciple with such poor judgment, if not taught a lesson, will sooner or later cause trouble."
"Come on, bring him to me."
Gong Caiyi quickly raised her hand to stop him. She earnestly stated, "Sect Master Lu, you truly misunderstood. This bottle of beauty cream is the most effective I have ever used."
"Strange, don't any of you recognize it? How could you consider such a wonderful item to be worthless?" The entire audience was collectively petrified.
Everyone looked at the bottle of beauty cream. Such an inconspicuous item had actually received such high praise from Gong Caiyi, who was known for her discerning taste. Wang Qingjian was momentarily stunned, as he had intended to embarrass Fang Chen.
He stepped forward and said, "Sect Master Gong, could you be mistaken? This is merely an unrefined item.
Please do not debase your esteemed status. Gong Caiyi's delicate brows furrowed slightly, and she glared at him. I have personally used this item and have my own judgment.
Is it your place to instruct the Sect Master? Wang Chengjian was startled, realizing he had been too hasty. He quickly bowed in apology and retreated. Lu Wenchen also confirmed that Gong Caiyi genuinely liked this welcome gift, and he felt relieved.
He smiled and patted Fang Chen's shoulder. Fang Chen, your welcome gift was the most thoughtful this time. I'll add another 100 spirit stones to your reward this month. Fang Chen had escaped a predicament and said, thank you, master. Lu Qingxian also let out a long breath, happy for Fang Chen, as it seemed he was out of trouble.
However, Gong Caiyi curiously asked, you are Fang Chen, aren't you? Can you tell the Sect Master where you obtained this bottle of beauty cream? Just one bottle is far from enough.
After Fang Chen left, she discovered that the effects of the beauty cream were still ongoing, making the skin between her thumb and forefinger even more moisturized and supple, as if she were in her early 20s, a stark contrast to the skin quality on other areas of her hand. Such a superb item truly calls for an application all over the body. So how could one bottle be sufficient? She needed to buy 100 bottles.
Fang Chen's words were evasive. I
also just happened to see a disciple selling it in the plaza, and out of curiosity, I bought a bottle. If Sect Master Gong desires it, you could have your disciples look around the plaza, perhaps they might encounter the seller.
I see, Gong Caiyi nodded slightly.
Seeing that things had settled down, Lu Wenchen said opportunely, Sect Master Gong, please come in.
Gong Caiyi nodded and followed him towards the main hall.
Only then did Fang Chen truly let out a long sigh of relief. That was a close call, he almost gave himself away. He couldn't even imagine what expression Gong Caiyi would have if she discovered that he was the young man who refused to give her face.
In any case, nothing good would come of it.
From a distance, Lu Qingxian waved to him, and he quickly ran over. The two stealthily moved off into the distance. After a few steps, however, a hint of suspicion suddenly arose in Gong Caiyi's mind.
Why would a man buy a beauty cream? Moreover, what made him so certain that this bottle of beauty cream would please her, rather than displease her?
She suddenly turned around and saw Fang Chen about to reach the corner. Without suspicion earlier, she hadn't thought much of it. But now, looking at Fang Chen's back, she immediately felt a sense of familiarity. It seemed that this Fang Chen had a physique very similar to that of the young man selling the bomb. Thinking of this, she immediately called out, Disciple Fang Chen, come back. Just as Fang Chen was about to leave, he was suddenly called back, and his face turned green.
No way, am I that unlucky?
Since she had called him by name, he couldn't pretend to be deaf or mute. He could only return with his sleeve covering his face, and in a strained voice, he asked, Sect Master Gong, how may I help you? Seeing his stealthy demeanor at that moment, Gong Caiyi was completely certain. The Fang Chen before her was indeed the young man who sold the medicine. The thought that this fellow had shown no respect even after she revealed her identity made her feel both annoyed and amused. With a teasing smirk, she asked, Oh, why does your voice sound different again from earlier?
Fang Chen's heart sank. Had he overdone the voice disguise? He quickly covered it with a cough, saying, It's due to a cold, this disciple cannot control it.
Sect Master Gong covered her mouth and chuckled softly, finding it amusing.
Is that so? Why do I find you so familiar? Have we met somewhere before? Fang Chen was in a predicament. Upon hearing this, how could he not realize that he had already been recognized?
Awkwardly, he lowered his sleeve and said sheepishly, Fang Chen, an inner disciple of the Azure Cloud Sect, greets Sect Master Gong.
It's you!
The beautiful female disciple beside him instantly recognized him, angrily gripping her sword hilt, ready to draw and strike him down.
Gong Caiyi waved her hand to stop her.
With a playful gaze, she said, You and I, the Sect Master, truly have a destined connection.
That's a terrible fate. Fang Chen grumbled inwardly.
Who could have imagined that the dignified Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect would actually run to a roadside stall to try out free beauty cream? He was more wrong than Doi. Since things had come to this, he could only obediently say, Sect Master Gong, this disciple failed to recognize your esteemed presence.
You announced your grand name, yet still couldn't sell anything. Could this truly be said in public? Did she no longer care about her reputation?
She quickly reached out, covered Fang Chen's mouth, and her tone tightened, "Don't say any unnecessary words."
Everyone present was dumbfounded. What was happening? The Spirit Beast Sect Master covering Fang Chen's mouth with her hand, wasn't that a bit too intimate? Before Gong Caiyi could react, Fang Chen himself felt it was inappropriate and quickly stepped back.
The soft, warm fragrance of her jade-like hands still lingered on his lips. He hurriedly said, "Sect Master Gong, if there's nothing else, this disciple will take his leave."
Thinking of leaving? Gong Caiyi snorted inwardly. He almost made her lose face in public, and now he just wanted to walk away? But what could she accomplish by keeping Fang Chen here? Was she supposed to discuss the embarrassing incident at the roadside stall with him?
Suddenly, she remembered something. She said, "Sect Master Lu, I wish to stay a few more days at the Azure Cloud Sect.
I lack someone familiar with the sect to show me around."
Lu Chen was naturally delighted and, without hesitation, summoned Wang Qingjian. "This is my eldest disciple. He has been with the Azure Cloud Sect for over 10 years and is familiar with every blade of grass and tree within it. For the next few days, let him accompany you." Wang Qingjian was overjoyed. This was an excellent assignment. As a guest, how could Sect Master Gong be stingy with a junior who was doing her bidding? She would undoubtedly bestow rewards, and significant ones at that, lest it diminish her own reputation and the prestige of the Spirit Beast Sect. "Sect Master Gong, this disciple Wang Qingjian is at your beck and call." Unexpectedly, Gong Caiyi didn't even look at him, instead staring with a knowing smile at Fang Chen, whose gaze was darting away. The more Fang Chen behaved this way, the more amusing she found him. Anyone could accompany her, so why not choose someone more interesting? No need. "I think Fang Chen is quite good, let him accompany me on my tour." Everyone was dumbfounded. To reject the chief disciple and choose a new one instead. For a moment, everyone couldn't help but question the relationship between the two. Lu Chen said worriedly, "Sect Master Gong, Fang Chen is a newcomer, he might not be resourceful enough." Gong Caiyi recalled Fang Chen's resolute rejection of her purchases 3 times in a row, an attitude that hardly suggested a lack of resourcefulness. "No, I want him," Gong Caiyi declared. Lu Chen, feeling helpless, could only instruct Fang Chen, "Since Sect Master Gong values you, you must perform well and be available at her beck and call." Understood? Fang Chen's mouth felt bitter. He knew without thinking that this woman calling him out had absolutely no good intentions. He quickly declined, "Sect Master Gong, please let my senior brother handle this. I'm new here and not very familiar with the Qingyun sect." "Brat, still trying to hide? Can you even escape?" Gong Caiyi had clearly decided to challenge him, saying playfully, "What a coincidence, I'm not familiar either. We can get acquainted together." "Damn it! Just because I didn't sell you something, you're holding a grudge now?" Fang Chen was utterly speechless, and Lu Chen also looked baffled, feeling that there was some personal animosity between Gong Caiyi and Fang Chen. He reluctantly said, "Since Sect Master Gong insists, Fang Chen, you must obey her commands." Fang Chen was 100 times unwilling, but he could only nod his head in reluctant assent. The numerous disciples looked speechless, they couldn't even dream of such a good assignment, yet Fang Chen was displeased by it. He was truly a man who didn't know the hunger of others. Seeing his disgruntled expression, Gong Caiyi felt even more pleased. She casually took out a jade bottle and tossed it to Fang Chen, saying, "This is your reward. I, the Sect Master, will not treat you unfairly." Fang Chen subconsciously took it, looked at the bottle of unknown brown liquid inside, and asked in surprise, "Is this for demonic beasts?" Gong Caiyi raised an eyebrow, "What? Is my Spirit Beast Sect only capable of refining things for demonic beasts? Isn't that right?" Fang Chen countered with a questioning look. Gong Caiyi was so furious she wanted to stamp her foot. How did this brat manage to infuriate her every single time? When Lu Chen saw the item, he was secretly startled and quickly patted Fang Chen. "Why aren't you thanking Sect Master Gong? This is Earth Phoenix grass juice, capable of enhancing the Foundation establishment realm. It's a unique treasure of the Spirit Beast Sect, requiring special spirit beasts to burrow deep underground to collect it. Even disciples of the Spirit Beast Sect rarely receive such a reward." The pretty female disciple beside them also showed a jealous look. It was given to Fang Chen, yet she had only received such rewards a few times herself. Only then did Fang Chen realize it was a treasure. He happily accepted it and smiled, "Thank you, Sect Master Gong." Seeing how quickly his attitude changed, Gong Caiyi said crossly, "You're truly quite pragmatic.
You must have just reached foundation establishment, right? This bottle is only enough to advance you half a realm, you'll need 2 bottles. Let's see how you perform next.
If you satisfy me, I'll give you another bottle.
Wait for me here tomorrow morning." Only then did Fang Chen realize Gong Caiyi didn't have any malicious intent. He replied, "Yes, Sect Master Gong." As Gong Caiyi was invited into the main hall by Lu Wenchen, the senior brothers and sisters watched with eyes full of envy. "Little junior brother, your luck is too good. How did you gain such favor from Sect Master Gong?" "Exactly. To my knowledge, even disciples of the Spirit Beast Sect rarely get to enjoy Earth Phoenix grass juice, yet Sect Master Gong actually bestowed it upon you. It makes no sense." Fang Chen smiled.
He naturally knew this was because Gong Caiyi needed a large quantity of beauty cream. However, this was not something that could be revealed. "It's all thanks to the good fortune of my senior brothers and sisters," Fang Chen said humbly. At that moment, Wang Chengjian, with a grim expression, pushed through the crowd and stared at Fang Chen, appearing as if he had something to say but held back. It was evident that he was quite unhappy. The task of receiving foreign guests had always fallen to the senior disciple, but this time it had landed on Fang Chen. What frustrated Wang Chengjian was that Fang Chen had not vied for the task, even repeatedly declining it. However, Gong Caiyi had specifically requested Fang Chen to handle it. He could only admonish, "You may visit all other peaks, but under no circumstances should you take Sect Master Gong to Reincarnation Peak. You understand the implications, don't you?" Fang Chen nodded, "Thank you for the reminder, senior brother." Reincarnation Peak had always been defiant towards the Sect Master's peak, openly and secretly competing with it. If Sect Master Gong were taken to Reincarnation Peak, the Grand Elder and his disciples would inevitably showcase Reincarnation Peak's power in front of her, and disparage the Sect Master's peak. This would weaken the image of the Sect Master's peak, causing Gong Caiyi to look down upon it, and in a broader sense, it could even affect the alliance between the two parties. The crowd dispersed, and Fang Chen returned to his cave dwelling, carrying the Earth Phoenix grass juice. As soon as he entered, he was startled to find an unexpected person in the room. "How did you get in?" The newcomer was none other than Lu Qingxian. Lu Qingxian snorted, pulled out a key, and said, "Naturally, I came in openly and honestly." Fang Chen quickly checked his own key, it was clearly still there. He immediately understood that Lu Qingxian had used her status as the Sect Master's daughter to obtain a spare key. "Senior sister, isn't this inappropriate?" Fang Chen frowned slightly. Even if their relationship was good, he still wished for a little privacy. Lu Qingxian sensed the distance, placed the spare key on the table, and said in a muffled voice, "First, check if anything is missing from your cave dwelling." Fang Chen looked closely and then realized that there were scratch marks everywhere in the room, and many items had been damaged. A thief had entered. He quickly checked the beauty cream and the foundation establishment pills and black soul bone regeneration paste materials hidden under the bed, all were undisturbed. Only the small spirit beast he had tightly bound was gone, and seeing the bite marks on the broken vines, he understood what had happened. It was that crafty hedgehog spirit beast that had broken free and wreaked havoc in the room. "Senior sister, did you find something amiss in my cave dwelling and then come looking for a spare key to investigate?" Fang Chen realized he seemed to have misunderstood Lu Qingxian. Indeed, she turned her head away, her eyes slightly red. Fang Chen did not know how to appease her. Returning to his inner room, he produced several bottles of beauty cream. "Senior sister, Sect Master Gong took the beauty cream just now, so here's a new bottle for you." Lu Qingxian's voice was choked, "I don't want it, don't even think I'll forgive you." Fang Chen said, "Then I'll give you 2 bottles. Lu Qingxian hesitated for a moment and said, "I won't forgive you." "How about 3 bottles? "You, stop it. What about 4 bottles? "Please don't do this." 5 bottles. All right, that's enough. It's too much, I can't use it all at once." Watching Lu Qingxian embrace the 5 bottles of beauty cream, breaking into a happy smile through her tears, Fang Chen touched his nose. In this world, there is no woman that 1 bottle of beauty cream cannot win over. If there is, then it's 5 bottles. "Fang Chen, what happened in your room?" "When I came over, I heard wailing inside, like a thief had broken in." Looking at the disheveled dwelling, Fang Chen said with a dark expression, "What do you mean like?" "It was a thief." It had better not come again in the future. If it dares to, I will deal with it severely. Lu Qingxian nodded. Then be careful, a thief daring to come to Sovereign Peak is not simple. After seeing her off, Fang Chen closed the door and tidied up the house briefly. Considering it unsafe to leave the materials exposed, he immediately refined them into Supreme Foundation Establishment Pills and Supreme Black Soul Bone Mending Paste. By the time he finished, it was already dawn. He carried with him the 10 refined Supreme Foundation Establishment Pills and 9 bottles of Supreme Bone Mending Paste. That bucket of beauty cream was also no longer safe at home. After a moment's thought, he took it with him as well. Before the Grand Hall, Gong Caiyi looked astonished. Are you sure you didn't miss here? Fang Chen has no spiritual root? The beautiful female disciple had a beautiful name, Yuan Jibo. She nodded and said, I asked several female disciples, and it's true, he has no spiritual root. Gong Caiyi was slightly stunned. What an unexpected turn of events. Sovereign Peak actually accepted a disciple with no spiritual root, but at least he's not a disciple of my Spirit Beast Sect. Whether he possesses a spirit root is not important. At this moment, she spotted Fang Chen from a distance, a bag hanging from his chest and a large wooden bucket strapped to his back. She couldn't help but smile, her lips curving. Fang Chen replied helplessly. He set down the large wooden bucket, untied the cloth covering, and revealed a large quantity of beauty cream. He then said. Gong Caiyi was overjoyed. She had been worried that Fang Chen wouldn't have as many as 100 bottles. As it turned out, the single large bucket contained several hundred bottles worth. Yuan Jiyu was also astonished, quickly fetching a small bucket and filling it completely, enough for Gong Caiyi to bathe in. Fang Chen didn't feel a pang of regret. Comparatively, that bottle of Earth Phoenix grass juice was far more valuable than all the beauty cream. Gong Caiyi now viewed Fang Chen more favorably and asked expectantly. Fang Chen had already planned their route, Sky Sword Peak. Upon receiving the notification, the elder of Sky Sword Peak led all the disciples of the peak to specifically welcome them at its base. Li Qingfeng, his face filled with excitement, declared. News of Sect Master Gong's arrival at the Azure Cloud Sect had already spread far and wide. Upon learning that she intended to tour the Azure Cloud Sect, the elders of each peak had made thorough preparations. However, it remained unknown which peak the Sect Master would visit first, as this would signify which peak the Sect Master held in highest regard. Li Qingfeng had never imagined that Gong Caiyi's first stop would be their unremarkable Sky Sword Peak. This left Li Qingfeng overwhelmed with honor. Gong Caiyi nodded with a faint smile. Li Qingfeng happily said. Gong Caiyi nodded but did not forget Fang Chen, turning her head to say. It was only then that she noticed Fang Chen had, at some point, discreetly slipped to the back and was flirting with 2 exceptionally beautiful female disciples. Upon hearing them address him as husband, Gong Caiyi was even more astonished. These 2 female disciples, both considered beauties beyond compare, were actually Fang Chen's wives. How did he manage to convince them to share one husband? Fang Chen was not stingy with them either, giving each a small bucket of beauty cream. This brought a sudden realization to Gong Caiyi. No wonder Fang Chen's first stop was Sky Sword Peak, he was merely using the excuse of taking her on a tour. He wanted to see his wives. This left Gong Caiyi quite annoyed. Fang Chen, she called out. Hearing this, Fang Chen hurriedly bade farewell to Lu Rushui and Chen Xiling, then rushed over, asking, Sect Master Gong, do you have any instructions? Gong Caiyi opened her mouth, but the reprimand on the tip of her tongue retreated. What was wrong with him seeing his wives? It wasn't delaying anything, so she didn't know how to scold him. She could only huff lightly. Elderly is about to introduce Heavenly Sword Peak. Don't you want to look around? Fang Chen rubbed his nose. Exploring Heavenly Sword Peak was certainly not as good as spending time with his 2 wives. However, his duty was to accompany Sect Master Gong on her tour. Please, elderly, lead the way. Fang Chen smiled at Li Qingfeng. Li Qingfeng, who had always found Fang Chen displeasing, was taken aback, only then understanding the situation. The reason Gong Caiyi came to Heavenly Sword Peak first was not because of its importance to her, but because Fang Chen's wives were here. Gong Caiyi had been subtly persuaded to come by Fang Chen. This realization significantly dampened Li Qingfeng's excitement. What made him even more awkward was that he, the esteemed Peak Master, had to personally introduce Heavenly Sword Peak to Fang Chen, whom he disliked. What kind of situation was this? Ding Wanping, mingling among the disciples, watched Fang Chen stride proudly at the front, while he himself had to follow closely behind, his face etched with displeasure.
That dog who borrows another's prestige.
Suddenly, he remembered something, caught up to Li Qingfeng, and whispered, "Master, why don't we invite Sect Master Gong to see our heavenly sword peak's sword mount? It's a unique feature of our peak, and she could also choose a sword as a gift." Li Qingfeng frowned slightly. Sect Master Gong was not skilled with swords, choosing one poorly could lead to embarrassment. The swords within the sword mount constantly nurtured sword energy, holding it back. Casually drawing a sword could cause the energy to burst forth, leading to a humiliating outcome.
Ding Wanping pointed at Fang Chen. How can we let Sect Master Gong do such a thing? Wouldn't it be better to have Fang Chen draw one?
Li Qingfeng's eyes lit up. He also found Fang Chen displeasing, and explaining heavenly sword peak to him all the way had made him uncomfortable. This was the perfect opportunity to deal with Fang Chen and curb his arrogance. He smiled and said, "Sect Master Gong, our heavenly sword peak has a sword mound where 108 excellent swords are nurtured. Please, Sect Master Gong, allow me to lead the way." Gong Caiyi nodded with pleasure. She had long heard of the reputation of Azure Cloud Sect's heavenly sword peak. Although this peak's sword mastery was not considered top tier, its collection of renowned swords was the greatest among the 9 sects. She also wished to see what magnificent swords were kept there. The group arrived at the mountainside of Heavenly Sword Peak, before a massive stone wall. The wall was crisscrossed with numerous sword energy carvings. Powerful sword energy faintly swirled around it, capable of erupting and harming at any moment. Long, uniquely shaped swords were embedded in the stone wall, each one shimmering with spiritual light, at least of mid-grade magical artifact quality. Furthermore, they were exceptionally fine among mid-grade magical artifacts.
Fang Chen looked on, his admiration growing with each glance.
Not a single sword here was inferior to Lu Rushua's Azure Sword, countless others were even superior.
What do you think, Sect Master Gong?
Li Qingfeng asked with a hint of pride.
Gong Caiyi couldn't help but praise, it truly lives up to its reputation. Even without wielding them, she could sense that each one was an extraordinary artifact.
Li Qingfeng said, "If Sect Master Gong likes them, you may choose one as a small token of my esteem."
Gong Caiyi's eyes sparkled slightly. Who wouldn't appreciate a fine sword? Even if not used, acquiring one for a collection would be splendid. Then I thank Peak Master Li, she responded.
With these words, she approached the stone wall, intending to retrieve one of the long swords with a black hilt. Li Qingfeng hastily interjected, "Sect Master Gong, please wait. These renowned swords, having been tempered by the sun and moon, contain potent sword qi, and only those skilled in swordsmanship can extract them without risking physical harm."
Yuan Jiyu nodded, confirming, "Master, that is indeed the case.
These swords cannot be touched carelessly, one must use swordsmanship to guide the sword qi away." Having practiced swordsmanship since childhood, she was considered one of the few accomplished swordmasters within the Spirit Beast Sect. With a single glance, she discerned the extraordinary nature of the Jin family's creations. Gong Caiyi nodded, "Then, please retrieve that black sword for me, your master."
Yuan Jiyu bowed, "Yes, master."
Confidently approaching the Jin family's display, she leaped into the air towards the black sword, gripping its hilt firmly and pulling it forth. A potent surge of sword qi, instantly upon the hilt being drawn, pierced through the wall and shot directly towards Yuan Jiyu.
Yuan Jiyu was startled.
This sword qi was far stronger than she had anticipated. She frantically drew her own sword, attempting to deflect the sword qi. Unexpectedly, this fierce sword qi directly knocked the sword from her grasp. She herself was sent flying backward, landing rather ungracefully on the ground.
With so many eyes upon her, Yuan Jiyu's face flushed crimson.
She returned to Gong Caiyi's side in shame, "Master, this disciple is incompetent." Gong Caiyi also immediately felt a loss of face and declared, "Never mind, this sword is not destined for the Sect Master." This agitated Li Qingfeng, whose original intention was to put Fang Chen in an awkward position. Instead, Yuan Jiyu's attempt on Fang Chen's behalf inadvertently caused Gong Caiyi to also lose face. He couldn't help but glare fiercely at Ding Wanping, "Look at the terrible idea you came up with."
Fang Chen hesitated for a moment. If Gong Caiyi truly left like this, his mission would be considered a failure, wouldn't it?
So he cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master Gong, if you like this sword, your disciple will retrieve it for you."
Gong Caiyi showed a look of surprise. You also understand swordsmanship?
In her heart, she had already labeled Fang Chen as lacking a spirit root. Since he had none, he shouldn't be very capable in any martial arts-related aspects.
Fang Chen replied, I only have a superficial understanding.
Yuan Jiyu was already vexed by her loss of face and had nowhere to vent her frustration. Watching Fang Chen recklessly step forward, she said in a sarcastic tone, You'd better just forget about it. This sword energy is exceptionally powerful. Though I merely stumbled, you could get seriously hurt.
If that happens, we won't be able to explain it to your master. Fang Chen said, Don't worry. He then immediately walked to the stone wall.
This made Li Qingfeng and Ding Wanping exchange mocking glances, thinking that Fang Chen was finally taking the stage, and they eagerly awaited how he would embarrass himself.
Fang Chen activated his movement technique, ascending the cliff face with extreme agility and precision.
Then, with a single grasp, he drew the sword from its hilt with the force of thunder. The immense sword energy within surged out like a breaching dam or a tsunami.
With lightning speed, Fang Chen immediately unleashed Lone Star Pierces the Blue, guiding the incoming sword energy to shoot into the distance. Snap!
A large tree, as thick as a person, was struck by the powerful sword energy and instantly broke.
Fang Chen, with a graceful flip, landed holding the black sword and handed it to Gong Caiyi, saying, Here. Gong Caiyi was stunned. Yuan Jiyu was stunned.
Li Qingfeng and Ding Wanping were both stunned. He had actually succeeded in drawing the sword, and without a scratch. You're full of hidden talents.
Gong Caiyi exclaimed in surprise.
Others thought she was praising Fang Chen's swordsmanship, but in reality, she was admiring his movement technique. While others hadn't noticed, she had clearly seen that Fang Chen had utilized a subtle movement technique. And movement techniques have always required extremely high comprehension to master. Throughout the 9 sects, there were very few martial artists who truly mastered movement techniques.
Yuan Jiyu stared blankly.
She couldn't help but begin to doubt the information she had gathered about Fang Chen.
Is he really without a spirit root? He doesn't look like it at all.
Li Qingfeng was also taken aback, stroking his beard, saying, Strange.
His swordsmanship is actually quite good. Could it be that I was truly mistaken before? Ding Wanping gritted his teeth, not only failing to embarrass Fang Chen, but allowing him to show off.
He said, unwillingly, It's just some crude swordsmanship, it's not worthy of a grand stage.
Gong Caiyi glanced at him. No matter what, Fang Chen was her personal choice as a companion, how could anyone slander him?
She said calmly, Elderly, your disciple seems quite extraordinary.
Could you let him demonstrate how to retrieve a sword, so that Fang Chen can learn from his exquisite swordsmanship?
Li Qingfeng was in a difficult position. If the swords within the sword family were so easily retrieved, they wouldn't have specifically challenged Fang Chen. Although Ding Wanping's cultivation was high, he had never attempted to retrieve a sword, so it might not work. Ding Wanping, however, felt slighted and, in front of Tianjin Peak, had been outdone by Fang Chen.
How could he tolerate this?
He said, Since Sect Master Gong says so, then I shall make a fool of myself. He sprinted to the stone wall, leaped into the air, and drew a sword. The sword chi, powerful beyond his control, directly blasted him several feet away, causing him to crash heavily onto a stone table, where he lay on the ground groaning miserably.
Put! Yuan Ziyu couldn't help but burst into laughter. Is that all? I'm better than that. Gong Caiyi also felt satisfied.
Serves you right for showing off and looking down on Fang Chen's swordsmanship. This is the result. She stood up gracefully and said, Fang Chen, take me to the peak with the best swordsmanship in your sect.
She had been provoked into curiosity. What was Fang Chen's level of swordsmanship?
From his performance just now, among his peers, he should be at an upper middle level, perhaps. She decided to find a few sword prodigies to test his abilities.
Thus, not long after, they appeared at Xiaoyao Peak. As soon as Zhao Wuji saw Fang Chen, he flared up in anger. You brat, you still have the nerve to come to my Xiaoyao Peak.
Fang Chen gave a wry smile, cupped his hands, and said, Elder Zhao, I couldn't help myself. Gong Caiyi, standing beside him, was stunned and muttered, You're quite good at provoking people. First her, then a peak master of this sect, always picking on those with high status.
Yuan Ziyu, meanwhile, rolled her eyes, troublemaker.
But to the surprise of both master and disciple, Zhao Wuji hastily explained, Sect Master Gong misunderstands.
I have a love-hate relationship with this kid. He elucidated the circumstances during the initial selection of disciples. Gong Caiyi's expression was one of astonishment. It was then revealed that Fang Chen, despite his lack of a spirit root, had been a subject of contention between the sovereign peak and carefree peak. Could it be? Is Fang Chen's mastery of the sword Dao truly so profound? She inquired, her curiosity piqued. Does Elder Zhao indeed hold such high regard for Fang Chen's sword Dao prowess? Zhao Wuji scratched his head, replying, I have not yet witnessed it myself. It was only upon hearing my disciple Gongsun Nan's effusive praise that the notion of accepting a new apprentice arose within me. What? Gongsun Nan? Yuan Jiyu exclaimed in astonishment, that cannot be. Senior brother Gongsun Nan is indeed regarded as the foremost sword Dao genius among the 9 sects. For those who wielded the sword, Gongsun Nan's reputation resonated with almost divine reverence among the younger generation of sword cultivators.
Indeed, he was celebrated as a once-in-a-century sword Dao prodigy, having commenced his training at the age of 3, achieving mastery by 10, and, upon his entrance into the Qingyun sect at 18, he showcased a set of sword arts that vanquished many senior sword practitioners from Carefree Peak, thereby establishing his renown throughout the land. Gongsun Nan was, in fact, her revered idol. The fact that Gongsun Nan spoke so highly of Fang Chen was utterly beyond her comprehension. Gong Caiyi's curiosity intensified, and she proposed, is this truly the case? Would it be possible for Gongsun Nan and Fang Chen to engage in a spar, that I might observe your disciples' refined swordsmanship? Before Zhao Wuji could respond, Gongsun Nan enthusiastically interjected, excellent. I have long desired an opportunity to spar with junior brother Fang. Fang Chen responded with a wry expression, Senior brother Gongsun, I implore you, do not overpraise me. My humble cultivation is scarcely worthy of such attention. Gongsun Nan, however, rubbed his hands together, stating, what difficulty does that present? I shall simply suppress my cultivation realm to an equivalent level as yours. Make haste, cease your hesitations. Fang Chen then stated, however, I am also without a sword. Gong Caiyi scoffed dismissively, such an abundance of excuses. With a swift motion of her arm, she tossed the black sword towards Fang Chen, commanding, take it. Fang Chen, finding himself with no alternative, reluctantly gripped the sword and prepared for combat. The two engaged swiftly, their sword shadows interweaving as potent energy currents crisscrossed the air. Their swordsmanship, devoid of ostentation, was characterized by its simplicity and unadorned nature, yet it wielded extraordinary power. Following 10 exchanges, neither combatant held a discernible advantage. Yuan Jiyu furrowed her brow and remarked, it appears Fang Chen's swordsmanship is not as exceptional as suggested, or so it seems? Gong Caiyi's exquisite eyes, however, gleamed with a rare brilliance, exclaiming, it is truly remarkable. It is now clear why Gongsun Nan bestowed such high commendation. Fang Chen's swordsmanship undeniably possesses significant merit. Zhao Wuji, for his part, observed intently without a single blink, periodically striking his thigh with forceful impact. What manner of sword Dao prodigy have I truly overlooked? Oh, sovereign, you have indeed caused a grave disservice to my carefree peak. This left Yuan Jiyu utterly dumbfounded. The two had clearly been evenly matched in their exchange. This was, in fact, the result of Gongsun Nan suppressing his cultivation level, otherwise, Fang Chen would have been defeated in mere moments. Why were they all praising Fang Chen so profusely? After 100 moves, both were somewhat out of breath, a testament to the intensity of their battle, where both had exerted their full strength. It's a draw. Fang Chen sheathed his sword and stepped back. Gongsun Nan, however, sheathed his sword with a complicated expression, sighing, I lost. Yuan Jiyu found it impossible to accept that her idol would be defeated by someone utterly lacking a spiritual root. She indignantly protested, Senior brother Gongsun, you were clearly going easy on Fang Chen. You didn't lose. Gongsun Nan looked at her with a wry smile. I appreciate your high regard, junior sister. I employed a profound grade, low-tier sword technique, while junior brother Fang utilized a yellow grade, high-tier sword technique. Yet, he managed to contend with me to an even standstill. Had we both employed sword techniques of the same tier, I fear I would have lost long ago. Gong Caiyi seemed to perceive Fang Chen anew, her eyes brimming with admiration. A low-tier sword technique, yet it unleashed the power of a high-tier one. This unequivocally indicated an extraordinarily high talent in the way of the sword. No wonder Gongsun Nan had praised him so highly. Zhao Wuji was consumed by such bitter regret that he felt his intestines twist. Gripping Fang Chen's shoulder, he exclaimed, "Why didn't you display your sword technique to me sooner? Had I known you possessed such potential, I would have even risked of falling out with the Sect Master to bring you to my carefree peak." Alas, it is now too late for words. As the group descended the mountain, passing by Medicine Peak, several disciples were seen anxiously hurrying up the peak, cradling several freshly gathered medicinal herbs in their arms.
Junior brother Fang. One of the female disciples, Suchioning, still recognized Fang Chen. Fang Chen asked in surprise, "What's happened to you all?" Suchioning's face showed urgency.
"Our peak master is ill, and we're desperately waiting for these medicinal herbs."
Her eyes lit up. "Oh, right, can you help us refine this medicine?"
"Only Master used to be able to refine this particular medicine. The results we disciples achieve are far from satisfactory."
Fang Chen glanced at Gong Caiyi, hesitant, as he still had a mission to complete.
Gong Caiyi gazed at Fang Chen with a look of utter astonishment, wondering if she had completely misunderstood the situation.
If she hadn't misheard, a disciple from Medicine Peak was seeking Fang Chen's assistance with alchemy. But wasn't alchemy the exclusive domain of Medicine Peak disciples? Why would they turn to a newly initiated disciple for help with medicine?
With a touch of skepticism, she nodded.
"The elder's safety is of greater importance." "Go, I will also go and see." She was eager to see what new tricks Fang Chen would pull. Soon, they arrived at Medicine Peak. Several disciples of Medicine Peak were busily preparing medicine.
This particular medicine was very complex. The group of female disciples, without proper division of labor, became flustered and disorganized. Eventually, they ruined it, exclaiming, "It's over, another pot ruined."
"Have the new ingredients not arrived yet?"
"Master's condition cannot wait that long. The ingredients are not the problem is that we have already ruined 6 pots." It was not that their skills were inadequate, but rather that this heart-nourishing medicine was not only obscure but also exceptionally complex. Having never practiced it before, they found it difficult to refine an effective remedy in a short period. At that moment, Suchioning rushed over, saying, "Everyone, please make way, quickly make way. Junior brother Fang from Sovereign Peak has arrived."
Upon learning it was Fang Chen, their eyes lit up.
They all moved aside, gazing expectantly at Fang Chen, who was long rumored to be able to refine the highest-grade black soul bone-mending ointment.
Fang Chen quickly walked over and said, "The prescription."
A female disciple promptly handed him the medicinal prescription.
The prescription did not state the medicine's name, but Fang Chen recognized it with a single glance.
He said, "It's the 9-flavored heart-nourishing pill, a medicine for treating heart failure."
What happened to Elder One? Wasn't she perfectly fine during the disciple selection? Back then, she was still arguing fiercely with Zhao Wuji, looking ready for a big fight. How could such a severe illness as heart failure appear in the blink of an eye?
Gong Caiyi, who had rushed over, also listened curiously. Generally speaking, heart failure is often brought on by extreme anger or frustration.
What could have happened to enrage the Medicine Peak Master to this extent? Suchioning showed hesitation, stammering, "During the disciple selection, junior brother Fang, you were taken by Sovereign Peak."
After Master returned, she silently fumed, and kept fuming until she collapsed.
Gong Caiyi and Yuanjiyu were stunned. What happened? Did the Medicine Peak Master also try to recruit Fang Chen?
What left them most speechless was that she fell ill out of anger for not having recruited Fang Chen.
Fang Chen's lips twitched slightly.
Immediately, he no longer hesitated and systematically began refining the 9-flavored heart-nourishing pill. His technique was masterful, completely unlike the fumbling of the other disciples. This drew continuous exclamations of awe from the many disciples. Soon after, the medicinal pill was refined. Suchioning examined it closely and exclaimed, "A supreme 9-flavor heart-nourishing pill.
Even Master might not be able to refine something like this." Fang Chen said, "Quickly go and give it to Elder One." Suchioning nodded and immediately ran back into the hall.
Not long after, however, she emerged, wiping away tears, looking very upset.
Fang Chen's heart sank. The medicine didn't work?
Yuanjiyu pursed her lips, saying, "A flurry of fierce actions, only for the disciples to cry when they see the result." Gong Caiyi, however, inexplicably let out a sigh of relief.
That's more like it.
If he were skilled in everything, that would truly be strange. A disciple who possessed exceptional movement techniques, high sword cultivation talent, and alchemy skills would certainly make her envious.
Thankfully, his alchemy wasn't up to par.
But to her surprise, Su Qiuning shook her head repeatedly. No, it's not that. The medicine was very effective. Elder Wen woke up immediately after taking it.
Fang Chen was surprised. Then why are you crying? Everyone's completely misunderstood.
Su Qiuning started crying again, but Master knows you refined this medicine. And because it was even better than what she could refine, he thumped his leg, sighed several times towards the sky, and fainted again. A profound silence fell before the hall. For a moment, not a sound could be heard.
Everyone was unsure whether to laugh or cry.
It seemed the more Fang Chen displayed his alchemy talent, the more severe Master's emotional distress became.
Fang Chen, with a wry expression, handed the remaining 9-flavor heart-nourishing pills to Su Qiuning. I'm here. As for your master's ailment, it appears it will not easily improve. Farewell.
He then cupped his hands to the stunned Gong Caiyi and said, Sect Master Gong, let us depart.
We shouldn't disturb Elder Wen's recovery any longer.
Gong Caiyi, still dazed, followed Fang Chen away, staring intently at his retreating back with an expression of disbelief. She then whispered again, Jiyu.
From where, precisely, did you gather this information?
Observe for yourself, does this truly resemble someone devoid of spiritual roots?
Yuan Jiyu even began to suspect she had been deceived.
Gazing at Fang Chen's retreating figure, she stammered, I will inquire further with others.
Gong Caiyi let out a soft sigh.
Looking at Fang Chen, a hint of envy appeared in her eyes. Sect Master Lu truly possesses great fortune. How I wish I had a disciple such as him. Yuan Jiyu stuck out her tongue, saying, Master, we are a sect exclusively for women, there is no precedent for accepting male disciples.
Gong Caiyi shot her a look, stating, Do I require your reminder? Is one not even permitted a moment of envy?
She was merely expressing a sentiment. To truly accept Fang Chen as a disciple was utterly impossible. By this time, it was already dusk, and exploring 3 mountain peaks had consumed an entire day.
Fang Chen led them back to the Sovereign Peak first.
As they passed the foot of Reincarnation Peak, a small beast with reddish-brown fur was perched in a tree, gnawing on a spiritual ginseng pilfered from an unknown source, chewing loudly and distinctly.
Upon noticing Fang Chen passing beneath the tree, it immediately recognized him. Its dark, upturned nose wrinkled, and it hurled the spiritual ginseng it held towards Fang Chen. Fang Chen was highly vigilant, sensing the malicious gust, he swiftly swept his sleeve, sending the incoming spiritual ginseng flying away. He then looked up, meeting the gaze of the small spiritual beast. The mischievous small spiritual beast turned its back, wiggled its backside at him, and then scurried away into the dense forest. Fang Chen was furious. That wretched creature. He was about to pursue it, but upon glancing towards the dense forest, which led to the Grand Elder's Reincarnation Peak, he had no choice but to halt his steps. It was indeed inconvenient to proceed to Reincarnation Peak while accompanied by Gong Caiyi and the others. Meanwhile, Yuan Jiyu also detected the presence of the small spiritual beast. Filled with immense excitement, she cast a wary glance at Fang Chen, then leaned close to Gong Caiyi's ear and whispered her discovery. What? Gong Caiyi was overcome with joy. Her primary objective in coming to Qingyun's sect was to locate this very spiritual beast. Feigning composure, she pointed towards Reincarnation Peak and asked, Where is that place? I wish to go up and observe. Fang Chen's face showed difficulty, and he stated, It is already late, let us return tomorrow. Gong Caiyi, unable to wait, stepped onto the stairs and began to ascend, saying, Then I'll go myself. How could Fang Chen allow her to go alone? He had no choice but to stop a passing disciple and instruct him to quickly report to the Sect Master's peak. Meanwhile, he followed Gong Caiyi, ascending all the way to Reincarnation Peak. At this moment, Reincarnation Peak was engaged in its evening cultivation. Grand Elder Fenggyuzhen personally instructed his disciples, guiding them in contemplating an ancient wall covered with sword marks, knife carvings, and imprints of fists and feet. Sect Master Gong, quickly bring spirit tea and spirit fruits. Fenggyuzhen was greatly surprised. In his estimation, the Sect Master would never have arranged for Sect Master Gong to visit Reincarnation Peak, thus he had made no preparations whatsoever. Gong Caiyi smiled, Elder Feng, there's no need for such formality. I was passing by your peak, and seeing its magnificent scenery, I simply came up to take a look.
Little did Feng Yuzhen know that she was actually searching for the little spirit beast.
He immediately and enthusiastically offered, "In that case, I shall personally escort Sect Master Gong around the peak." With all of them present, how could she search for the little spirit beast? Even if found, it would be easy for them to notice something amiss, and whether she could then take it out of Qing Yun's sect would be difficult to say. "I've visited several peaks already and am somewhat weary.
I'll simply watch your disciples cultivate here. Let my disciple, Ziyu, explore on her own."
Yuan Ziyu understood implicitly, saying, "Master, then your disciple will go by herself."
Feng Yuzhen immediately called Chaozhen over, "You go and accompany Ziyu."
Yet Yuan Ziyu replied, "There's no need. I prefer to be alone." That wouldn't be appropriate, would it? If word gets out, my reincarnation peak will have failed in its hospitality.
A flicker of suspicion passed through Feng Yuzhen's eyes. It was clear that Gong Caiyi intended for her disciple to act alone.
Could she be searching for something on reincarnation peak?
Upon seeing Fang Chen, he suddenly understood, this was orchestrated by that fellow Lu Wenchen. He must have requested Gong Caiyi's help, using the pretext of sightseeing to investigate the true situation of reincarnation peak. At this realization, his heart filled with resentment.
To scheme against him, how outrageous! His gaze towards Fang Chen naturally grew unfriendly. He said, "I believe your name is Fang Chen, isn't it?"
Fang Chen bowed neither subserviently nor arrogantly, stating, "Disciple Fang Chen greets Grand Elder."
With Gong Caiyi by his side, how could the Grand Elder dare to do anything to him?
Feng Yuzhen glanced at Gong Caiyi, then at Fang Chen, deciding it was necessary to make an example of someone.
Firstly, to issue a warning to Lu Wenchen, secondly, to let Gong Caiyi witness the embarrassment of the Sect Master's peak.
You, a martial artist without a spirit root, are so highly valued by the Sect Master, entrusted with the important task of accompanying Sect Master Gong.
You must possess extraordinary qualities, wouldn't you say? Coincidentally, my disciples are currently contemplating the Maha Stone Wall. Would you care to give it a try?
Gong Caiyi's eyes revealed a strange glint as she said, "Elder Feng is indeed generous, but Fang Chen's aptitude is too low, he might not be suitable." The Moakstone Wall is an extraterrestrial meteorite, bearing the residual battle traces of powerful individuals and the martial will imbued within.
Those with strong comprehension abilities can gain insights into formidable techniques from it.
It is said that the most exceptional among them even comprehended a high-grade profound tear sword move. The drawback is that those with insufficient comprehension, attempting to force insight, are prone to being injured by the residual martial will contained within. Mild cases result in headaches, while severe ones can lead to unconsciousness.
Fang Chen possesses no spiritual root, indicating his comprehension is ordinary, making his participation inadvisable.
Feng Yuzhen, however, smiled and countered, "That is an incorrect assertion.
Fang Chen is the Sect Master's beloved disciple. If he dares not even attempt the Moakstone Wall, wouldn't it invite ridicule, suggesting that the Sect Master's peak has accepted a good-for-nothing? Remarkable."
With words spoken to this extent, if Fang Chen were still to shrink back timidly, he would truly bring shame upon the Sect Master's peak.
Comprehending techniques, is it? To date, no cultivation technique has presented him with any difficulty.
He cupped his hands and stated, "Since the Grand Elder puts it this way, this disciple shall give it a try.
However, let me state up front that any technique this disciple comprehends shall belong solely to this disciple.
At that time, I request the Grand Elder not to make things difficult."
Gong Caiyi's heart skipped a beat. No way? Could this fellow possess strong comprehension abilities? That can't be so unreasonable, can it? Chaozhen, also a new disciple, remarked indifferently, "You are overthinking it. If the Moakstone Wall were truly so easy to comprehend, wouldn't techniques be found everywhere?"
Being able to comprehend even a low-grade yellow tear technique would be cause for immense celebration. To dream of instantly comprehending a formidable sword technique is pure delusion.
Fang Chen looked towards the Moakstone Wall, pondering, is it truly that difficult to comprehend?
Feng Yuzhen did not conceal it, laughing heartily, "Of course, it is difficult. But precisely because of its difficulty, it can highlight the uniqueness of a disciple from the Sect Master's peak. As you are a new disciple, this elder holds no great expectations for you. If you can comprehend a mid-grade yellow tear technique, just like Chaozhen, you will be considered formidable. I will not only bestow the technique upon you but also reward you with a foundation establishment pill."
What do you say? Fang Chen readily agreed, "All right.
Since matters had come to this, even if the Monkstone Wall was difficult to comprehend, he had to give it a try, so as not to diminish the reputation of the Sect Master's peak. He approached the Monkstone Wall, closed his eyes, and quietly began to perceive the numerous residual martial wills on its surface. Seeing him fall for the trap, the Grand Elder stroked his beard and smiled. He calmly awaited Fang Chen being injured by the Monkstone Wall.
Xiaozhen snorted, "You wish to comprehend a mid-yellow rank technique like me? It's fortunate you weren't injured."
At this moment, upon hearing the news, Lu Wenchen immediately rushed over with Wang Chengjian. Seeing Fang Chen already meditating before the stone wall, their expressions changed.
This fellow.
He was told not to come to Reincarnation Peak, yet he insisted, and now he is recklessly comprehending the Maha Stone Wall. Wang Chengjian was exasperated and complained softly, "Master, Fang Chen is about to make a fool of himself. Even the disciples of Reincarnation Peak dare not easily comprehend the Maha Stone Wall. They need several days of guidance from the Grand Elder beforehand to understand which markings on the wall are dangerous and which are safe. Rashly attempting to comprehend it, if he encounters those exceedingly powerful martial arts wills, he will undoubtedly be knocked unconscious." Lu Wenchen was also burning with anxiety. Even on the way here, he had worried that the Grand Elder would make things difficult for Fang Chen, causing him to embarrass himself in front of Gong Caiyi. As fate would have it, his fears materialized. How could the Maha Stone Wall be comprehended so casually? He quickly stepped forward and said, "Grand Elder, Fang Chen possesses no spiritual root and his comprehension is ordinary. Asking him to comprehend the Maha Stone Wall is truly putting him in a difficult position. Please tell him to come down quickly." Feng Yuzhen had finally seized an opportunity to severely humiliate the sovereign peak in front of another Sect Master. How could he easily let it go? He said with a false smile, "Sect Master, are you so lacking in confidence regarding the disciple you have taken? You are the Sect Master, possessing unique insight and sharp wisdom. Since you have accepted a disciple without a spiritual root, there must surely be a reason that we do not understand, right? Why keep it hidden? Let him demonstrate it, so that we may witness it." What nerve! You wish to see me humiliated? However, with Gong Caiyi present, he could not openly show his displeasure. If Fang Chen were to lose face later, it would be his own disgrace. It would not, however, cause the sovereign peak to lose face before Gong Caiyi. "Sect Master Gong, perhaps we should return to Sovereign Peak first, letting the juniors amuse themselves here? I have already prepared dinner and am awaiting your return," Lu Wenchen said with a faint smile. Gong Caiyi smiled faintly, but her beautiful eyes were fixed on Fang Chen's retreating figure, her interest thoroughly piqued. "It won't be long now. I am very eager to see what technique Fang Chen will comprehend." Wang Chengjian immediately broke into a sweat, exclaiming, "Him? And he expects to comprehend a technique? He is certain to be injured by the martial arts will." Just at this moment, the stone wall before Fang Chen began to change. A sharp and potent martial arts will, palpable even from a distance, materialized within the stone wall before Fang Chen. They could vaguely discern a frantic roar. "Battle!" Gong Caiyi's expression suddenly shifted. What powerful battle intent! This technique must surely surpass the profound rank, right? Lu Wenchen's gaze became solemn. It couldn't be such a coincidence, could it? Within the Monkstone Wall, there is indeed a technique of earth-rank finger art, which we have all experienced. It is extremely profound and recondite, yet no one has been able to comprehend it. However, it had not appeared for a long time, and now it suddenly manifested before Fang Chen. His heart sank abruptly. This is truly the end. Not only would Fang Chen be shocked, but he might also sustain severe injuries. Wang Chengjian also sighed silently, remarking. Feng Yuzhen could not help but smile. Isn't this young man simply too unlucky? Encountering the most difficult martial arts will right from the start, he would likely be knocked unconscious. Xiaozhen chuckled, crossed his arms over his chest, and quietly awaited the next moment. However, to everyone's surprise, the formidable martial arts will, for reasons unknown, gradually diminished. Fang Chen remained unharmed. Feng Yuzhen exclaimed in astonishment. Lu Wenqin and Wang Chengjian both secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Gong Caiyi, however, muttered with a hint of disappointment. Immediately after, she gave a self-deprecating smile. That is an earth-rank finger art, after all.